days, months, weeks, long time for them to clean up. So thank you for keeping us posted. Let's come a little closer to home for just a moment. We're going to talk about traffic for just a moment, which is actually on a lighter side of things.
There you go, Scratchy. Weather forecasters breaking down on live on air, crying about what they see happening and what is the possibilities for Jamaica. The world is concerned, Scratchy. All the major news networks are in Jamaica: CNN, Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, BBC. Something major is on the horizon, Scratchy.
Neighbor, I think because of how technical these hurricane thing, the readings are, neighbor, and how technical it is, neighbor, how factual it is, neighbor. When I say factual, I mean it is based on projection, but it can change in the space of a 3, 4, 5 minute time. It can change within the next hour. It can change within the next 3 hours. And I think we're used to where we see storms, where persons were prepared, neighbor, where the storm ship, the storm gone. I think that is causing some form of issue on Jamaicans taking this storm serious, because, neighbor, if you notice in the neighbor, persons who overseas who understand what it means, what a category 5 hurricane is, neighbor, they are the ones who are breaking down, neighbor. They are the ones who are they are the ones who understand this, neighbor. They know the amount of showers that is going to come, neighbor. Persons who don't understand what is 186 mile per hour wind is like. Go in your car and drive 186 mile per hour and wind down the window and look at the breeze that is coming in on you. Check those type of things, neighbor. And a wind like that coming over a small nation like Jamaica, where our infrastructure is not in the best place right now. It is very, very serious, neighbor. But Jamaicans just don't understand the severity of this, neighbor. They don't understand what is coming upon us, neighbor. And if they really understand and knew what we are facing, neighbor, trust me, neighbor, person wouldn't even hesitate to evacuate when time the government tell you to.
Imagine weather forecasters in America, sir, crying on air, suggesting in fear of what Jamaica is going to be experiencing, sir. And we have people down here still saying no storm now come. How could that?
Exactly, neighbor, because these persons don't understand, neighbor, and as this person Katie in the chat has been saying, neighbor, a very good point. The storm is moving slow, so you need to understand that it has wind forces of 186 miles per hour, neighbor, but it is moving at 10 miles per hour. Can you imagine that?
Wow. Yeah. And you know, Scratchy, over the years, we have had lots of hurricanes and storms, and so we should be battle ready, shouldn't we be? Mentally.
We should be battle ready, neighbor. We should be prepared, neighbor. The government is doing its best, neighbor, but a lot of the citizens doing and their unruly behavior, neighbor, is defeating the purpose, neighbor, and they are the one who's gonna make us look bad and make it look like we weren't prepared or we're not used to these type of stuff, because these persons want to make fun, they want to make joke, they want to make TikTok reels. These persons don't take this thing serious, neighbor. These persons think this is a gimmick.
Talking about them, they know how to make Melissa come quick.
Yes, that's Jamaica. Well, yeah, we are waiting for a little light moment, no matter what. But this is the light moment, neighbor. We must take the seriousness and the severity of this. A lot of the houses in the carpet area, neighbor, in the city is zinc. We might see a lot of these zinc houses be removed. So we have to make sure that we know what we are doing, neighbor. We don't know 186 miles per hour wind, neighbor, moving at 10 miles per hour. That is lingering. That is moving slow. It is giving it time to root out every single nail out of zinc and board pan house top, neighbor.
My God, Scratchy, wow, that is so. In other words, Scratchy, even as we hope for the best, we should expect the worst.
Yes, neighbor, we're hoping for the best, neighbor, but we have to expect the worst, neighbor. Our possibility, we must know that there's a possibility that the worst can happen now, neighbor. Trees falling, persons who have high trees. That's the next thing I think with Jamaica, neighbor. There's a lot of trees in these areas where houses are, neighbor. We have to look at these trees. Are they gonna compromise? Limb them down to some size. We don't have to cut them right down, but we can limb them down to a certain level and make them can spring up back after. But we have to make sure that we protect our people, them, neighbor. But right now, neighbor, the main priority is life over property, you know.
Absolutely. Let's listen a little bit more of this.
We can see people are trying to load up things, getting their boats out of the harbor. Looks like people are trying to wrap up some of their roofs, maybe even hopefully put some wood on their glass windows or doors. Again, this is the before. This is just at West Parade in Jamaica. This is West Parade Street, everyone. But we're watching what could be devastation soon hitting this area. So we'll keep you posted on that. And now let's take a look at the warnings and the effect of this satellite picture right here of what Melissa's doing. And as Ida was saying, because it is going slow, it has potential. The slower it goes, the more rain is dropped. And that is initially the problem on top of those winds. With a Category 5 hurricane in tow, this could be, as she mentioned, life-threatening. So we're going to keep you posted as the warnings are going out, and the effects of what Hurricane Melissa, as it barrels towards the island, is still a Category 5. According to the National Hurricane Center, the storm's main threats would include, as Ito mentioned, quote, life-threatening and catastrophic flash flooding, as well as expected landslides, mudslides, parts of Jamaica and southern Hispaniola through mid-week. We will keep you posted on that. We also have footage by a Jamaican resident. Actually, we were showing earlier. That's what you just saw. The rain affecting some of the Bay areas in like St. Thomas Parish of Jamaica, located east of Kingston. The hurricane initially at that point was located, about 110 miles south of Kingston and carrying a maximum sustained winds of 140 miles per hour. But what are the winds right now? And the slowness of this is what makes me so nervous. I've been in over 24 hurricanes in my lifetime, and every one is different. But the wind speed, the slowness of this storm is very, very concerning for me.
Yeah, it is. This is going to be catastrophic for Jamaica, unfortunately. I still get teared up because I do have friends in Jamaica, and this is kind of a hard one for me when you have that personal connection, because National Hurricane Center says if you have not found your safe place, you need to. This next 2 to 3 days, you have to have food, you have to have water, because communities are going to be cut off by deadly landslides, a life-threatening surge, all of this water, almost 3 feet possible for Jamaica. And here's a look right now at Hurricane Melissa, Category 5. It intensified rapidly. It is just really digging into some very warm water that is deep in the Caribbean Sea. Let me take you over now to the latest information that we do have for Melissa. This is from the 7 a.m. advisory. And just to note, air reconnaissance and hurricane hunters right now are flying over Hurricane Melissa to get some more information and to get a better eye view, topside view of the hurricane. So right now we've got some hurricane force winds now over Jamaica. We've got all of the rain bands right now. Essentially, it is on the dirty side of this storm, and it's barely moving west at 3 miles per hour. That island right now being just lashed, absolutely lashed by 160 mile per hour winds. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm really trying to keep this together. I do have just some very close friends out there. Here's a look right now at Melissa's rainfall potential. Looks like Kingston, that southern side of the island, is where we're going to get the bullseye of this rain over the next several days. We could add up 30 inches of rainfall with this one. Let me take you over now to the cone.
Well, Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor.
All the reports coming from the Met Service, from the international news agencies, is that Jamaica is to batten down for something bad. That's just the facts. It is going to be bad, Scratchy. When you see all of the major news network fly down their news reporters and board them up in Jamaica, Scratchy, you know that news is about to break in Jamaica.
And big news, neighbor, and based on Jamaica's popularity to neighbor, it makes sense for these networks, neighbor, because of Jamaica's popularity and our stance around the world, neighbor.
We are loved. We are loved around the world, Scratchy. We are loved.
100%, neighbor. We are loved around the world, neighbor. And you see a lot of persons, a lot of countries are already preparing packages for us, neighbor, to send off in this week. A lot of countries are lining up containers to send to Jamaica come this week.
Yes. Scratchy, stay with me. I think we cannot overestimate the severity of what is facing this island in the next couple of weeks. Joshua, good morning to you. Hello, Joshua. I have Joshua online.
Morning, neighbor. Morning, everyone.
Morning. You are in the capital city. How are things over where you are?
Well, sub capital city, as they call it.
I didn't want to disclose your location.
Huh?
I didn't want to disclose your location.
Okay. Yeah, it's very fair. It's very fair. I'd say misleading based on the destruction that is heading our way. But outside is very fair. Light rain. I think much of the areas in Jamaica currently have light weather because I'm using the Jamaica Eye to see in the hot areas. And they're mostly fair, right? It's like the calm before the storm, as they said.
Yeah. In Portmore, I see where the Met Office is suggesting that there may be challenges there up in the Hellshire area. You hear anything about that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So since my time over here, I've realized that this area is prone to really bad flooding, right? When I say really bad flooding, I mean flooding to probably a knee. I've seen areas like that before, right? And with what is expected, I'm really concerned about the storm surges that are possible, as well as the height of flooding that is possible. I know that places like Hellshire, as you mentioned, are being evacuated because there's just no hope there. Because I've seen videos already from Hellshire with the small amount of rainfall that we've been having, and the sea is just crazy. It's literally coming up to landfall.
Wow. In other words, Joshua, we have not experienced anything like this before.
I surely have not, or based on what is, because it hasn't reached us yet. But based on what is on the horizon, I definitely am a bit nervous. I'm not saying I'm not the one to panic and something, but just logically, based on what they're explaining, yeah, it really have you thinking,
Uh-huh. Well, so let me ask you, what has been your preparation? Have you prepared?
I mean, the thing about this storm and hurricane is that you really, especially if you're somebody that live by yourself and you've never really experienced one of these to these extremes, you don't really know what to prepare, and you don't want to over prepare, because I think what a lot of Jamaicans fear is that we don't have an unlimited amount of resource, right? Although it's recommended for us to have backup money here and there and this. Most people live in hand to mouth, and the way this storm hit us, right? It's like you can just do so much and no more, because at the end of this storm, if you're still living, life goes on, right? So I think people are trying to strike a balance between being prepared but not being over prepared, right? And I think that is what is really having people kind of on them nerves, right? Because they don't want to make, because a little stinginess, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, you don't prepare, and in the storm, hurricane, you're fighting to get this and that and blah blah. But for me, I mean, I have my little water, I have my food, my snacks, I charge up my batteries, charge up my phone, try to park the cars out of the, I kind of use the house to kind of shield the car from anything flying. And I've just been trying to think of, just look around and see if I get any ideas as to what else I can do. But I think I'm as confused as anybody else.
How do you rate the preparedness of the government based on what you have seen? How have they prepared the country? Do you think that there's anything else they could do?
I've seen them working. But what I would say is that I think as a people we have like this last minute behavior, and I think I've seen it somewhat in the preparations. I mean, I think up to yesterday, I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, I was seeing some clips of the gully there, and I think it's the road up to 6 Mile Arch, one of them, being cleaned, and I know that gully is huge, right? And in my opinion, I just believe that should have been something that was probably cleaned prior, right? Because I'm hearing that they haven't been able to complete the full cleaning of that gully. right? And I feel like that is going to be one of the major gullies that take the water out of the town areas into the sea.
So even as we brace for this horrific, it appears, disaster coming our way, Joshua, how quickly you think that the country is going to be able to, you work in corporate Jamaica, close to the corporate Jamaica?
Yeah, close today. Yeah, banking is definitely close. So close today, close tomorrow, confirmed by BOG.
Now, in terms of our infrastructure, telecommunication and things like that, how great an impact you think it will have on the country?
It will definitely have an impact. So the thing about Jamaica is that in terms of our technical infrastructure, I can promise you that as soon as probably close to 12 o'clock, close to Tuesday, right? I believe we're going to be out of power, telecommunications probably, and even water, right? I think Jamaica. So for JPS, I believe they are going to take on a method or strategy of being safer than sorry, right? They're not going to wait or try to combat the storm to provide electricity, even though that's what they say. I'm pretty sure, because even yesterday, lights were some lights were cut off in the Portmore area just because of the breeze that started to blow, right? I think it came back a little bit later once the rain and the breeze kind of ease up, right? But honestly, I feel like those are the things, and that's for me the worst part of this. I hate being without the light and water, because me as a man, me can't sleep without fan in our breeze. It's my worst part of the night. Yeah.
Understand.
But it's just something that we have to deal with. I'm hoping for the best, though. I'm hoping that we'll be lucky, and be able to ride this out properly. Not practical, but let us see.
Fantastic. So your phones are charged and all of that?
Yeah, man, if my phone got to 99%, I charge it back up to 100%, man. When I make it go below 99. Because, them phone battery, whole charge again, with them apps here and them thing here. So, you have to keep them charged.
Yeah, hold on there for me, Joshua. Spooky? Spooky? Morning, Spooky. No, is he there? Not there at all. Lance, you're still there? No, disconnect him. I'm not getting Spooky. Sorry. Melita? Morning. Morning. Not getting her at all. Let's go back to Scratchy. Scratchy?
Yes, neighbor.
We cannot overemphasize, Scratchy, that people by now should be coming off the road, going home, making sure that they are inside and safe, Scratchy. We right now are on a lockdown as a country, and there's no doubt, Scratchy, that this is going to affect our economy. Any hope of growth this year has been dashed. Right now is just to survive and to recover. Yeah?
Definitely, neighbor. We saw Hurricane Beryl, neighbor. Hurricane Beryl set us back down from an economical standpoint of about $58 billion. And $58 billion out of the Jamaica economy is a lot, neighbor. That's not no chicken feed, So if this is expected to create more damage than Hurricane Beryl, neighbor, and Hurricane Beryl should wipe away a $58 billion with its damage that it came with. So yes, it's possibly, neighbor, that we're going to see some form of unease in our economy, in some form of the growth, that 1.3% that we were projected. Those things are going to, some reprojection would have to be made, neighbor, towards those things. But definitely, neighbor, a lot of that would be lined up in how quickly we bounce back, neighbor. And how quickly we bounce back, neighbor, is based on the severity of the damage that we receive from this tropical storm. Now, a lot of these places, JPS, they're the one that have, the JPS is the one of the key institution, neighbor, that
I get it.
must make sure that they can come back online in the quickest of form, the quickest time possible. They must make sure that JPS will be key to us moving forward.
Yeah.
And that is our key institution going forward, Jamaica Public Service.
Uh-huh. And Scratchy, Joshua. Hello?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
How does the telephone service work? When we lose electricity, we don't have any service? Is that how it works?
No. That's not how it works, because they're supposed to have their own backup, right? In terms of how they transmit the signals over the towers, right? But that backup might not last for the full period or time, right? But I'm thinking what we must worry about in terms of telephone service is just damages to the actual towers, right? That transmit the signal. That's where that's where I think
change, and he'll be giving you significant.
All right, so let's listen in a little bit to the press conference that is live.
Robert Nesta Morgan, who is our minister that's responsible for works. He's been out there working to clean drains, gullies, and supporting our communities across this country. He will give you an update on the status of all of that. And of course, we have our team from ODPEM. They are the focal point for this. We are now in ODPEM's office. The Emergency Operations Center is live downstairs. Hopefully later on we can send you some images of what's happening there. We have teams that work throughout the night. They're working 24/7, monitoring what's happening across the country. We have reps from all of the key agencies, including the security forces and also the JDF there. So we are really getting prepared. Don't worry, your government has done the work, and we're here to report on what has been done and to take your questions this morning. So without much ado, we know the entire country is waiting for the man of the moment, Evan Thompson, or ever faithful head of the meteorological office in Jamaica, to give us an update on where Hurricane Melissa is and when we should expect to start feeling the effects of this hurricane.
All right, so let's listen to Evan Thompson.
Thank you very much, Minister Morris Dixon, and good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Good morning, especially to our ministers who are in attendance, and of course, all the distinguished persons who are here, including, of course, you, the media, and the members of our public. I want to say that this has been a long journey, but we are in for the by a hurricane that is a major hurricane moving over the waters of the Caribbean Sea. If you take a look at the image that is being projected, I believe that most of us are able to see this, but it shows that the center of the hurricane is now some distance, over 100 miles to the south of Jamaica. It is south really of one of those points along the coast of St. Elizabeth. So it is really in that general direction, which would signify that it is closer to the western end of the island than to the eastern. You know, there's a common feeling that if it reaches there, that means the eastern part is free of all folly and will not experience anything that is related to this hurricane. But I would like to tell you that that is not really the case. And although the center has moved past your longitude, which is how far west it is, you will still see that the situation will deteriorate further right across the country, and all parishes are likely to be impacted. This is a Category 5 hurricane. There are no additional categories for hurricanes.
Wow.
We go from 1 to 5. Any stronger than that is still a Category 5. And so it is at the strongest category that it could possibly be. The system, yes, it could gain additional strength, but it will still remain a Category 5 hurricane. Now, it is just about at the point where the projected path of it will indicate that it will move closer to the island. Over the past many hours, it has been moving directly west, which means that the latitude has remained the same. It has not moved any further north or dropped to the south. It has stayed at the same latitude, continuing westward over the waters south of Jamaica. So we will show you the chart of how it's moving in a little while, but let me show you what our radar image is projecting as well. Radar, the Doppler radar in Jamaica is showing that there are numerous showers associated with the system. The center, as I said, some distance to the south, but around that center, immediately around it is a very tightly knit area of showers, thunderstorms, intense activity, also very, very, very strong winds. That is where the maximum winds of the hurricane are actually concentrated, in the eye wall, which is right around that eye. And it's a very distinct eye. It's a number of a couple of miles probably wide. And so it will actually show when it moves, if it moves over the island itself, a number of areas will experience the calm of the eye. But of course, that cannot be possible until you have very tightly knit area of showers, thunderstorms, intense activity, also very, very, very strong winds. That is where the maximum winds of the hurricane are actually concentrated, in the eye wall, which is right around that eye. And it's a very distinct eye. It's a number of a couple of miles probably wide. And so it will actually show when it moves, if it moves over the island itself, a number of areas will experience the calm of the eye. But of course, that cannot be possible until you have gone through the eye wall. And again, after the eye passes by, you have another aspect of the eye wall to go through as well. But this system shows, this picture shows that the system is generating lots of showers right around it. There are bands of rainfall that extend some distance from that eye. And here we see many of those bands also extending across sections of Jamaica. Many of our parishes have already started to experience some of the activity from this hurricane. A number of parishes have experienced rainfall, mainly light to moderate, but in occasions it has been heavy rainfall. Also experiencing tropical storm force winds, mostly gusts, but in some areas, those sustained tropical storm force winds will extend, will continue over some areas and will increase over the number of areas of the country as the system moves a little bit closer. Now, it is at the point where we are expecting that it will start to turn toward the north. This means that it will get closer and closer to Jamaica. That is the projected path. I have to keep saying that because it's often said that I said one thing and this is something else. But the truth is, this is a dynamic situation. It changes as the moments go by. And so the track changes are also possible. Earlier, I was telling you that it would make landfall in Clarendon. Later, I was saying it would have been in St. Elizabeth. It's not that anything was wrong with what was being said, but there are updates to the forecast based on information that is gathered and as the system moves closer. As you are closer to impact, the forecast gets more accurate. So when I tell you that we are being hit by a hurricane, you know that it is accurate. We are being hit by a hurricane. At this time, I can only say that it is likely that we will be hit by this hurricane. It is moving closer to us. There is just a small window of opportunity where it could continue to shift. The track could continue to be shifted toward the west, and then it could be moving over the waters to the west of Jamaica. Of course, all of us are hoping for that and praying for that. But at the same time, we have to be practical. Right now, the projected path takes it to the southwestern part of Jamaica, impacting either eastern Westmoreland or extreme western St. Elizabeth as it makes its entry, its landfall on Jamaica. Then it's expected to continue moving to the northeast. All at this time, it is expected to be a major hurricane. Right now, a category 5, it's quite likely that it will drop in terms of the strength of the system slightly to a category 4 before it makes the landfall. But still, let us prepare ourselves for a category 5 hurricane, if you can actually prepare for a category 5 hurricane. And then it will move over that southwestern part of the island, moving toward the northeast. We expect that the exit will be just about in the vicinity of St. Anne, along the coast of St. Anne, which means it is not going directly north, but somewhat east of north. So making its entry near the border of Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, at this time, that's the projection, and then moving across sections of Trelawney and St. James in the interior of the island through the cockpit country probably, and then moving across along to the coast of St. Anne. So that's the projected path. During this time, it's likely that it will weaken a little bit more. It may exit the island possibly as a category 3. It might still be a weak category 4 at that time, and then it will continue on its way closer to the eastern part of Cuba. So that is the forecast. It is expected that entry, that landfall, will take place early on Tuesday. That means within 24 hours, tomorrow morning. It could actually be during the early hours before the sun. Is there a sun? We haven't seen it for a few days. but when at sunrise, we still have that time that we call sunrise, whether it rises or not. And so at that time, we should be seeing that there is a landfall of the center of this hurricane. A landfall means, yes, that the center is moving across the coastline, but it also means that the areas around that coastline are going to be most impacted. Around that eye will be most impacted. So parts of eastern Westmoreland, parts of western St. Elizabeth, and then surrounding areas of those moving as it continues to move, the closest areas to that center will get the greatest impact. We'll get the strongest winds reaching hurricane force. So hurricane force winds are expected over parts of Westmoreland as well as St. Elizabeth. The extent of hurricane force winds is just about 80 kilometers, I believe, because it's about 40 on either side of the center. So that's the extent of hurricane force winds. Depending on where that center is, you can measure whether your area is likely to experience it. But of course, there is some shift in exactly where that landfall will take place. Then the tropical storm force winds extend a much greater distance and should cover the entire island, or most of the island. To the east will be impacted by tropical storm force winds, even though the center is not moving across your area. So if you think that you live in Kingston and you will not experience the eye, and so you are free from fear or worry or concern, I don't want to encourage fear or worry, but I do expect you to be concerned about what is taking place. If you think that you're free from that, think again, because the heavy rains will also affect you. The strong winds reaching tropical storm force could still continue to affect you as we go through the day on Tuesday. That's all the way through tomorrow. The exit of this system is likely to take place in the evening hours on Tuesday as well. So it's not expected to remain over the island until Wednesday, because there will be a slight increase in the wind speed, in the direction of, in the speed of movement of the system. Right now, it's still moving at only about 6 or 7 kilometers per hour, but it should pick up a little bit as it is moving across us. And so we expect only about 6 to 8 hours as it moves from the south coast to the north coast. The rainfall is what is being shown. The projected rainfall is what is being shown on this chart that you're seeing here. This is showing that you could have anywhere up to 30 inches of rainfall over much of the country. And that includes all central parishes, it includes eastern parishes, and to some extent, some sections of western parishes could see that. If you're in hilly terrain, you should also look out for even more rainfall, because in hilly terrain, the rainfall amounts are expected to be higher. Of course.
All right, so we are keeping this up for a while. We are monitoring this.
All of the island will experience even up to 20 inches of rainfall over sections of your area. So if you are in a flood-prone area anywhere across the country, you can expect that flooding is going to occur as long as the system